Okay, section 1.5. It says segment and angle measure. We won't get to the angle measure today. We just don't have enough time. But we will do the segment part of it, okay? The segment measure. And it's really important. I mean, it's not hard. Just because I say it's important doesn't mean it's like really hard. But this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be seeing really the rest of the year. Have you heard me say that before in here? Yeah, I've said it quite a bit. Now, I've also said like that half line thing. I was like, here's what it is, but you'll probably never see it again, all right? But this stuff you will. The stuff that we're doing today is super important. You guys had Algebra 1 last year, right?
Yeah.
All right, so back in Algebra 1, did you do the things with the x and y axis? You did the slope and the equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, and all that good stuff, right? And you plotted points, didn't you? Right? You had an ordered pair. Is that all coming back to you?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be doing that later this year, too. Okay, we're going to go back to that stuff, and we're really going to hit it a lot towards, I don't know, middle of the year maybe. I can't remember exactly what chapter it is, but you'll definitely see it. When you get into Algebra 2, you're going to see a ton of that and beyond that. It gets way more, it takes it to another level. But the one key thing that all that has is this. It's the location of a point. The location of a point we call the coordinate. Coordinate. Basically means where a point is located. I don't know if you've ever watched like old movies, doesn't even have to be an old movie, but I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking like a war movie or a World War II movie or something like that, and I'm going to say, what are my coordinates, right? It could be GPS. You ever hear that? What are my coordinates on GPS? Coordinates is where your location is. Amy. 2 O's. Coordinate, right. Ordinate kind of means a number, and then co means with the number. That's what that word kind of means. All right, co means with something, and then the ordinate we kind of use for number. So a coordinate is what we're talking about. So it's basically it's a number on the number line that corresponds to a point. Okay, I'm not going to write it out, but I will draw you a picture that describes it. So it's a number. So coordinate is a number, all right, on a number line that describes a location or corresponds to a point. What in the world does that mean in real life? It means this. Yeah. Okay, so here's a number line right here. You did this back in Algebra 1. Before you did that whole x and y thing, you started off with just one direction, right? Just going like this. All right, and I don't know, let's put some numbers in here. -4, -3, -2, 1, 0, 1, 2. There we go. Somebody in other class says, Mr. Hammer, you're supposed to put 0 in the middle. Are you supposed to put 0 in the middle? No, not always, okay? And a lot of times we do when we first teach this kind of stuff, put 0 in the middle just to show you all the numbers to the left of 0 are negative, all the numbers to the right of 0 are positive. But no, sometimes the number line doesn't even have 0 in it at all, right? Do you agree? Yeah. So it doesn't have to always be in the middle. So let's put some points here. Let's put a point at -2. Let's put a point at 0. And let's put a point at 1. And let's name the points. Yes. You don't even have your notes on your desk or anything. Is that right?
Matthew, you were the opposite one.
Do you have your agenda book?
I think I did.
Well, how are you going to go anywhere without that? That's your pass. All right, let's do this. Let's call this A, B, and C for lack of imagination. So what the coordinate is the number that's associated with that point. So what if I said, what is the coordinate of point A? Point A is not the coordinate. The coordinate is the number. Okay? So looking at that picture right there, what is the coordinate of point A?
Negative.
It's -2. Very good. It's the number that's that corresponds to that point. All right. What about point B? What's the coordinate of point B? 0. Coordinate of point C? 1. Very good. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. That's our starting point. That's what we need to know. So let's go from there. Let's talk about the length of a segment. The length of a segment. I think it was yesterday. Didn't we talk about a segment? It's either yesterday, the day before, I can't remember. But anyway, we talk about a segment. So what's the difference between a line segment and just a line? Somebody tell me. 9?
Wait. You said the difference between
A line and a line segment.
well, line goes infinite.
Yep, line keeps on going. Matthew.
The segment stop has a starting point and an end.
Right. And we call both of those points. We don't really call it a starting point. What do we call both of the ones? There, call them endpoints. Right, they're on the ends. Okay. So which one can you measure? If I had a device that could measure something, which one can you measure? A line segment or a line? Or both of them or neither of them? Which one? The line segment, because it has a beginning, has an end, right? You can actually measure the distance, right, of that line segment. Everybody with me on that? Can't measure a line. So we are going to talk about the length. We're going to measure how long that line segment is. So if I asked you, let's put another line here. In my notes, I have a second line, so let's do that. And again, we'll put some numbers on our number line. Yeah. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So what if I put a point at -1, we'll call it A, and I put a point at 3, and we'll call it B. And I asked you to find the length of line segment AB. So let's write that down. Find the length of line segment AB. Or we could shorten that. We don't have to write the word line segment, do we? How could I shorten that? You got it. Put the AB and put that little line over top of it. Right. So instead of writing out that whole word line segment, we just use our little notation. Okay? That's a little nicer, isn't it? So I want us to find the length of line segment AB. So let's take a look. So here we are on our number line. We're at -1 for the A. We're at +3 for the B. So what's one way that you can figure out how long that segment is? Kel? Yeah, just count. Exactly. Let's start here. Okay, let's everybody count. Ready? All together. Ready? We're going to join it. Ready? 1,
2, 3, 4.
Good. Okay, so it's 4 places, all right? What if you had a number line? I didn't write this out in my other class, but I will now. I just made up some crazy numbers. What if you were here at like -271, and over here you're at +3,258? Just making up random numbers, okay? Are you going to sit there and put all those little lines in there and then count how far it is from -271 to 3,258? That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Would you agree? Yes? Yeah, it would be ridiculous to do that. We've got to have an easier way. All right, so what would we do to figure out how long that is from here to here? Justin? Add them? Okay, let's add them. So -1 plus 3. What's -1 plus 3?
-2.
It's +2. Is the length from here to here +2?
No.
So I don't think we're going to add them. What's another option, Matthew?
Minus them.
Minus them? What's a better way to say that? Subtract. Yeah, let's say that. Let's subtract them. Okay. So let's do it. Let's go -1 minus 3. All right. Do you remember how to do this in Algebra 1? Okay. Yeah. Add a line. Change the sign. Right. Now they're the same signs, so you just add them. Keep the sign. So what is that?
-4.
I thought you said when we counted. I thought you said it was 4. I didn't think you said -4. Let's subtract them the other way. Okay, instead of -1 minus 3, let's try the other way. What's that going to be? 3 minus what? Minus -1. Correct. It's not just 3 minus 1, because we're going 3 all the way down to -1. You see that? Let's do the same thing. Add a line, change sign. What's that? So 1 is -4. The other is +4. Which one's right? Actually, they're kind of both right. Remember what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the length of something, the distance of something. For instance, let's say I wanted to find how long the wall is from there to there. Okay, I take my trusty tape measure out. I'd start over there. Somebody would hold the tape measure. I'd come all the way, and I actually did that. See the lights in the room right there? The what do you call those?
LED lights?
Yeah, but they call them.
Christmas
No,
lights?
not Christmas. They are LEDs, but
Light bulbs?
strip lights. They call them strip lights. Okay, so the strip lights up the top right here. I actually took a tape measure and I measured the length of the wall because I wanted to find out when I ordered it. I wanted to find out, if I was going to order enough, if I was going to order too much. So I wanted to find the length of all the walls, right? So I knew I had enough. Probably could have got another one. I was too cheap. I would have had to get another one, and they cost like $25 for those. So I was going to do another one. I thought, that's good enough. I'll just do that part of the wall. But I measured it. I took a tape measure, put it over there, put it over here, and I measured the wall. Does it matter if I start over at that wall by the windows and measure to here, or that I start here and measure to that wall? Does it make any difference on how long this wall is?
No.
Doesn't make any difference, okay? The only thing the negative is really doing is just basically showing what direction that you're measuring, all right? Does that make sense? So if I go from here to here, we say that's -4. If I go from B to A, we say that's +4. It's still 4, right? Let's put it in units, like inches or meters or miles, okay? Pretend it's like a highway, and you've got the mileage signs. You ever see that? You ever go down a highway and see these little green, skinny mile signs on the right of the road, right? Let's say it's that. Now, of course, you won't see negative miles, but just use your imagination. So from here to here might be -4. From here to here is +4, but it's still 4. It's still 4 miles. Doesn't matter which direction you measure. Agreed? So what they do is this. They put this in between those two bars. What do those two bars mean? Absolute value. Very good. Absolute value means, let's just forget the negative. Absolute value always makes it positive. Somebody in the other class said, absolute value always changes the sign. Is that true? No, it does it in some cases, but it keeps the sign the same in other cases, all right? So when it's negative, it changes the sign to +4, but what's the absolute value of +4? It's still +4, okay? So absolute value just shows the length, the measurement, okay, how long it is. It doesn't say anything about the direction. The minus and the positive just basically tells you what direction you're measuring, okay? So you'll see that every once in a while. You'll see the absolute value. Again, you just do what's inside the absolute value, take the positive version of it. So what is the length of line segment AB? It's just 4, isn't it? Okay? It's very simple. You just subtract. Okay, to find the distance between two things, you just take the endpoints. If you know the value of the endpoints, you just subtract those two endpoints. Make sense? I gotta check time. I never remember the times. 50. Okay, so we got 6 minutes left. All right, let's move a little bit faster. Let's do this. Let's simplify this. It was a lot easier just to write this little symbol instead of saying line segment. Would you agree? But we also have a way to show the length of a line segment. All right? Now watch what it is. Let's stick with AB. So if I said, what's the length of line segment AB? That's it. That's the notation. There is no notation. All right? We don't put anything over top of it. So if you see 2 points next to each other, what does that mean? It means what? The length of line segment AB. You with me on that? It's kind of weird. People forget about it. They just think, oh, that's point A, that's point B. No, it means how far is it? What's the distance from A to B? And we always use the positive version of the answer. So this will always be positive. This will never be negative. All right? So if it just says, if you had a question and they put a picture like this picture right here. Okay, let's do this. Copy, paste. Ah, crap. Let's try it again. Let's see if I can grab it. There we go. Oh, I did it again. Try it again. Come on. Yay, we got it. Okay. Could have drawn the whole thing by now. All right, so if you had a question, they give you a picture like this, and all it says is find AB with no notation over it, and that's it. What does that tell you to do? Find the what? Caleb? Not just the points. Find the what? The length of. Right, the length of. Right? Find the length of line segment AB. That's what that means right there. Okay? We could have done this. We could have said find the length of line segment AB. but this is a little shorter. If it says just find this, instead of writing all that stuff out right there, that's what it means. Find the length of line segment AB. And then you would just do your math. You would just subtract. Doesn't matter what order you subtract it in. Look, we subtracted.
Oh, no.
No, we subtracted it 2 different ways here. Did it matter? No. As long as you take the positive version of it, it doesn't matter what order you subtracted it in. Does that make sense? Okay, enough of that. Got a few more minutes. Let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll stop there. Here's another word. I keep saying this all the time, but it's true. You're going to see this word a ton, a whole lot. This is a word that you may not have heard before, okay? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But here's a word. I told the other class, I said, if you asked me to just pick one word, just one word, that you probably see in geometry more than any other word, the one word would be this one right here, okay? Now, you can't wait to hear, can you? It's really not that exciting, but it's called congruent. You ever heard that word before?
Yeah.
All right. It's called congruent. Now, there's a difference. It kind of means equal, but there's a slight subtle difference between congruent and equal. Okay? Equal is when we talk about the lengths. So if I say the length of this segment is 5, the length of this segment is 5, we would say that the lengths are equal to each other. But if I did this, by the way, I'm going to show you the symbol. Let's do that now before I forget. The symbol for congruent, it's an equal sign, but it's got a little squiggle on top of it, like a little snake kind of thing. All right, that's your symbol for congruent. And we'll be using that a lot in here, okay? So we talk about things that are congruent. So let me draw a line segment. There's a line segment right there. And we'll label it in a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it. You know what that does, right? Copy, paste. What's the length of this line segment compared to the length of this line segment? It's the same, right? Exactly the same. But I tell you what, I'm going to just twist it just to show you. Now, I didn't make it any longer or shorter. It's still the same. Well, come on. Grab it. I used to be able to grab these a lot easier than I have been lately. All right, there we go. Yep. Who was that? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, let's take a look. Come on, we only got a couple minutes. Bear with me. All the way to the end. So what if I call this AB? Let's just be crazy and call this XY. How about that? All right. So look at these 2 segments right there. Do you know how long either one of those segments are? Guys, look, up here. Matthew, we're not finished. Do you know how long the length of those segments? No, because it's not on a number line. You don't have any numbers or anything. There's no way, right? You can take a ruler, I guess. But there's no way right now we know how long they are. So we cannot say that those segments are equal to each other. What we do is we say that the segments are congruent to each other. All right? If they have the same length, then we say they're congruent to each other. Does that make sense? All right? So that's what we would do. So here's how we would write that. We would write, let's do it over here. We would write line segment AB is congruent to line segment XY. And I need to put the line segment symbol over top of it, right? Because we're not talking about the length of it. We're just talking about the actual line segment. So if I took the one line segment, twisted it, and put it right on top of the other one, it would match up perfectly. So they would be congruent to each other, all right? Here's a way that we show that things are congruent. We show them by a little mark. I'll tell you what, I'll do this in a little different color here. We put this little mark right here and this little mark right there. That right there shows that those 2 are congruent to each other. Because if you didn't have the mark, without me telling you that I copied and pasted it, would you have known that they were exactly the same length? No, you wouldn't, okay? So if we put a little indication, we call it a tick mark, T-I-C-K, I think it's T-I-C-K. I don't know if it's T-I-C or not, but we'll call it K. A little tick mark, that's what you call them. That means that those are congruent. Let me show you one more thing, we'll be finished. What if I did a line segment like this? Again, I'm going to copy and paste it. Put it over here like this. I'm not going to twist this time. Whoops. Do that just to get my yellow. Now watch. These 2 right here, we'll call this, just give me a second, don't leave yet. Look at these 2 segments right there. Right now, you don't know that they're congruent to each other, do you? Because, there's no indication. If I did this, watch. Could I put one, have a seat. Could I put one tick mark here and one tick mark there? Does that mean, would that be a good way to say that these two are equal to each other?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but what about the other ones over here? They also have one tick mark. How do you know which ones are equal? So what we do is this. We'll put two tick marks just to show you that this one is not equal to this one here, but it is equal to this one. So all the ones with one tick mark are equal. All the ones with two tick marks are equal to each other. Everybody got that? All right, you can go.